Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Governor.
This is a very sobering morning for me to come out to this community and to witness firsthand the ravages, the devastation created by a storm previous night before. And to see people trying to clean off their cars and trying to scrape the mud out of the front steps, and to see literally a backyard that is missing. It doesn't exist anymore. It's really heartbreaking to see what people have gone through. And I want to commend the neighbors for their positive attitude, their resilience, that sense that we can get through this together. But we're also cognizant of families that cannot put their lives back together. Those who lost a loved one. Someone swept away in a car when they simply thought they were going to the store, going home from work. People trapped in their basements, not able to escape. Those are the images that haunt me in the aftermath of this storm. And we keep everyone in our prayers. And I want to thank the incredible team we have here in Westchester County. I've worked with every one of them for years. And their hearts and souls are into making sure that we get all the resources together. From the federal government to state, locality, we're going to be in this together. We're going to be in it till the job is done. And what the job being done looks like is, yes, cleaning up the streets, moving the cars, cleaning up, fixing people's homes and backyards, restoring our service on the Hudson line, which is disrupted right now. And if you had a chance to see what I saw, you'd understand why. There's 10 feet of mud covering the tracks. So we have work to do. But I do want to recognize the incredible individuals who've stepped up, who are with me here today. Congressman Jamal Bowman, who's working very closely to make sure that we get our resources out of Washington, a great friend of ours. Majority Leader Andrea Stewart-Cousins, who actually had to travel back from our important work in Albany in the storm, having to experience what many of her constituents had to endure, which was a very frightening ride home that night. Senator Shelley Neimeyer, who has been a fighter for this community for as long as I've known her. She cares deeply. Assembly Member Nader Sage, he's here as well. I want to thank him for his friendship and his work. We've all been in this together. We've gone to vaccination sites. We got to do something fun out here sometime, my friends, because we've been here for some very serious issues, fighting the pandemic, now fighting this horrific storm. Gary Pretlow is here as well, our Assembly Member. Mayor Mike Spano for welcoming us here to your community and all the work that we're doing together. Also, from my team, we have Major General Patrick Murphy, the Commissioner of the Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Services. I've been on the job just over a week. I know that I have not slept and he has not slept, and I want to thank him for what he has done. Kathy Rinaldi here representing Metro North, who can also answer any questions. So I'll just give an overall assessment, but let's start out with some positive news. As a result of my phone call to President Biden yesterday and also my emergency declaration submission, we did get approval from the federal government, and I'm very happy that that's going to bring in resources to help with evacuation and shelter support. We're also working with FEMA, the White House, and our delegation to ensure that we get everything that New Yorkers need. So this is just the beginning. We'll be making more announcements about the resources coming from the federal government. As you know, during peak storm, peak event, we lost power. Many people lost power. We still have about 7,800 people who are without power at this time. As you heard, there were many rescues, and I want to thank our New York State team working with local government for rescue. Our swift water teams were deployed, they're activated, they're on the ground, they're where they needed to be, literally rescuing over 100 people between Rockland County and Westchester the previous night. The deaths that have been confirmed would be 15. We have 2 right here in Westchester, and there was an individual missing who's now been confirmed dead. And again, it's hard to even read those numbers because those numbers are people. We have shelters that are open. We're serving people in Mamaroneck and Pelham. I'll be visiting Mamaroneck this afternoon or shortly thereafter this, and to see how those are operating and see whatever they need. Uninhabitable homes everywhere. This is something we have to deal with and make sure that people are taken care of. This is their hour of need. This is our hour to take action and be there for them, and I promise we'll be there. The road cleanup continues. This is not the worst road, but you can see already what's happening, that some of these cars are immobilized because of the mud that filled the engines. I just talked to Crystal down the street. Crystal, if you're there, I'll give you a hand when I leave here. She had a big cleanup job to get her work done. I also want to talk about some of the roads that are still closed. We have 11 full and partial road closures. The Bronx River Parkway, Springbrook Parkway, Sawmill River Parkway, also some closures in Dutchess County, Orange, and others in Rockland as well. Again, the Metro North line is not in good shape right now. We're working tirelessly, and I've had a chance to go out and talk to the transit workers, the people who are working tirelessly to try to restore the service, and they have done successfully in most of the lines. But this is one, as you can witness, it's just one that's not going to happen very quickly because of the damage we've sustained. So where do we go from here? I've dealt with many disasters. I was a local official for 14 years, a place called Western New York, Buffalo. So I've dealt with 7 feet of snow in a 24-hour period. I've dealt with massive flooding on the Great Lakes. I've sandbagged a lot of houses myself. So I know what it takes. And the first part you do is you survive. You get through the episodic event. They show up. We've been showing up, and I was in Queens yesterday, Long Island. I'll be in Staten Island after I leave Westchester. It's about letting the people on the ground know. People like Annie and her neighbors, the Santos. Let them know that we're not forgetting them. I want to look them in their eye and say, you will not be forgotten. And this is not just about us coming here to do a nice press conference. This is about what happens tomorrow and the day after and the day after. That is my commitment to you. My entire team will be dedicated to restoring your life as normal as we can make it, and to keep you in our prayers, but also we will help you. And so thank you. So the next day after, the morning after, we're here on the ground. There are FEMA teams embedded with our teams throughout this region, the 14 counties that were affected, but we know primarily where the crisis has occurred, mostly Westchester, Rockland, and the boroughs, as well as Long Island. They're embedded to do damage assessments. We actually need real numbers to submit to the federal government. To meet the threshold of $30 million, that will not be a problem. We are well in excess of $30 million of damage throughout this region. And then we start getting help on the ground. And I've deployed our Department of Financial Services. What do they matter? What do they have to do with this? That's the insurance, my friends. I want them on the ground. They're on the ground right here at the Yonkers Library as we speak. They'll be open until 5 o'clock today. Go on over there. Have an assessment of your best estimate of the damage that has occurred, your property loss, and they'll sit down with you, help you fill out the paperwork and understand what you need to do. We're going to be that hands-on. This is a frightening experience. Homeowners who were just going about their everyday life 2 days ago now are figuring out how they get on with their lives, and I want them to know all of my agencies have been deployed to help. So that'll be on the ground. I'll be sending them throughout the region to help people fill out the proper paperwork. I think that's all I had in terms of where we are right now. But long term, some people called this a 500-year event. I don't buy it, because I was up on Lake Ontario when in 2017 we had what was known as a 100-year event. It happened 2 years again later. So I don't buy that. It happens, and we have to be prepared for it. So no longer will we say, yeah, that won't happen again in our lifetime. This could literally happen next week. And when you talk about the rainfall records that were broken, Central Park, for example, it broke a record that was set the week before. And it almost doubled it. That's how the scale is going forward, and we have to be prepared for that. So I'm going to be convening a task force of individuals who will do an after-action report to me. I've insisted on this already. I want to know exactly what we did right. We did it right, we'll keep doing it right. If there's any areas that were shortcomings, I want to know what they are and how we address them. And for those who live in New York City in particular, it's about building more resiliency around those subways. I don't ever want to again see Niagara Falls rushing down the stairs in one of the New York City subways. I can't prevent it right now, but I know we have to take action to mitigate that. And it's something as simple as building up the resiliency in our drainage systems in those immediate areas, so when the waters come down and the heavens open up and the floodings begin, that they can actually handle the volume so it doesn't end up overflowing into the subways. It's a different dynamic than the storm resiliency. After Sandy, we built up our shoreline. We're far better off than we had been. But this is different than wave action. This is coming from the heavens. It's coming down, and it's coming down in unprecedented amounts, and that's what we have to be ready for. So that takes partnership with the federal government, getting the infrastructure built through that President Biden and Senator Schumer and Congressman Bowman and others are fighting for. Let's get that done. But that's longer term. In the short term, we're going to take care of the people right here on the ground. I want to thank everyone for joining me here today. And I'll be happy to take any questions. Mr. Arkady, did you want to say anything?
Sure.
This This is how she spent her birthday, was coming home. Happy birthday to
Hey. Wow. Well, I just really want to thank the governor for being here. This is an amazing time, and it requires amazing leadership. And yes, she and I, we were supposed to be at a press conference with all of our colleagues yesterday morning, I think. So I came running down from the session, and I really want to say hello to my colleague, Senator Shelley Neimeyer and Assemblyman Sage, and obviously acknowledge my congressperson, Jamal Bowman, as well as Mayor Spano and the great county executive, George Latimer. But we were coming down after dealing with the other issue, the economy and rent, and I figured I thought I was just in a rainstorm. And it took 3 hours, and after dodging trees that had fallen on the thruway and going through a water tunnel and getting up to North Broadway, because this is my neighborhood, and seeing yet another retaining wall that had collapsed and closed down the street, and the sandbags in front of my building, we realized that this indeed was something that we had never, ever, ever experienced, except for the last time we experienced it. Right. So the reality is what the governor said. This is not something that we can continue to put on the back burner. I'm glad that we have a bond, actually, as part of the voters having to make a decision of investing $3 billion into our infrastructure, which will happen in November. So when you go to vote, please look at that bond and understand that this is an opportunity for us to build up our infrastructure. And in the meantime, to have a governor who just got sworn in on Tuesday, and we were together, to be here in our neighborhoods in Westchester and all throughout the state, to, as she said, look people in the eyes and say that the government will not forget. We are partners to have our Congress people and senators on the federal level working with our president to make sure that our voices are heard means everything. So as the governor said, there are people who are deployed who will help in terms of assessments and so on and so forth. But don't forget your local officials either. The fact that we are here means you call us. Sometimes we can, get through a lot of the red tape that you can't get through. And that's why we're here to reaffirm that on every level, whatever we can do to make it easier, we will do. And of course, our condolences and our heartbreak goes to those who have lost not only obviously property, but their loved ones in this tragic storm. So again, Governor, thank you so much for being here, and we will continue to work together.
Thank you.